Today on Upfront, the countdown to November 8th. Will the road to the White House come through Wisconsin this year? I'll ask Democratic pollster Paul Maslin. Plus, the Republican vice presidential candidate brings the Trump train to Waukesha. Are Republicans in the WOW counties getting on board? And Wisconsin's road funding shortfall. Republican State Representative Dale Cuenga on the rift between the governor and assembly leaders on how to fix it.
Covering the issues important to Wisconsin. This is Up Front with Mike Goucher.
Hello again, everyone, and welcome to Up Front. The conventions are over and the sprint is on. It's now a little more than 100 days until we elect a new president and the next Congress to chart the future of our country. Republican Donald Trump, Democrat Hillary Clinton, their running mates and their surrogates are fanning out to the battleground states. And today, we ask, does the road to the White House still go through Wisconsin? We'll begin with the view from the Democrats, whose convention in Philadelphia ended last week. Paul Maslin is a Democratic pollster and strategist based in Madison and has worked on multiple presidential campaigns. Welcome back to the program, Paul Maslin.
Happy to be here, Mike.
So give me your take on the Democrats coming out of Philadelphia. Is there a unified party, or are you concerned about those Bernie Sanders folks who were fairly vocal last week?
I think there's a fair amount of unity. I think that Bernie Sanders himself, giving the speech that he did and the recognition that he got, including Hillary Clinton in her speech, I think goes a long way towards dealing with that unity. But I think there's still some uncertainties about this election, and one of them is a question about turnout on both sides. But for us, I think we still have work to do to make sure that the Sanders voters they're not going to vote for Donald Trump, I don't think. Trump talks about that. I don't think it's going to happen.
But Jill Stein?
But they have options, Green Party, Libertarians, sitting home, staying away, et cetera. And I think there's still work to do. But there was a lot of progress made in Philadelphia.
You have said in the past that Bernie Sanders lit a fire in the Democratic Party, that the party was at risk of becoming stale, if not already stale. How do you keep him engaged through this fall? Is it important to keep him engaged?
It is. It's going to be important for the presidential race. I think it's going to be very important in a lot of down-ballot elections, I think, for Senate and for Congress. In many cases, Bernie Sanders is the most popular figure, even more than Barack Obama, among independent voters and voters in the middle in these elections that don't like Clinton and don't like Trump. And Sanders is extremely credible and effective. And so I think part of it will be just for he and whatever organization he has to sort of stay active and target their efforts in the right places.
So in the past, Wisconsin has been spoiled, I guess. The presidential campaigns have paid a great deal of attention to us. We're considered a battleground state. We're important. Are we going to be important this year?
Yet to be determined. I think if I can read the tea leaves from the Clinton campaign, she's not advertising here yet. Mm-hmm. On the other hand, when you hear Trump, to the extent that there is a coherent strategy coming out of his campaign, which often there isn't, but when you sort of hear them start to talk about the blue-collar, working-class, industrial belt strategy that they are going to need to get to the 270 electoral votes, it's obviously Pennsylvania and Ohio, and Wisconsin does get mentioned, maybe Michigan. So I think that yet to be determined could still be from the Republican side a move made here, and if that's true, Democrats will have to combat that.
You're a pollster. Give me your sense of Wisconsin in the presidential race. Is this a close race in this state?
It's not a runaway. I think the polling prior to the conventions, and I think we all have to see what comes out. You know, the bounces on both sides, you have to sort of sort it all out, and maybe we won't even know for a few more weeks. Had Hillary Clinton with a single-digit lead, but not a double-digit lead, and a lead that's closer to 4, 5, 6 points, which is more like Obama 2012 than Obama 2008 when it was a blowout double digits. So yes, she has an advantage. No, it's not a big margin.
You're a student of the Electoral College. I know you pay a lot of attention to how these things play out in the fall. So give me your best guess on this. Is it possible for Trump, is he positioned in such a way that he could win in November in the Electoral College?
You cannot discount it. I think the breakthrough, he has to win Florida, and the breakthrough has to come in, I think, probably both Ohio and Pennsylvania. There's a new poll out that had Pennsylvania, I think, at a 9-point margin, so it still may be tough sledding for him there. But presumably, because of all that's happened here, including what he said about immigrants, and Latinos. Colorado, perhaps Nevada, may be moving away from him, and those have generally been close states. Tim Kaine's selection as vice president, I think, makes his odds tougher now in Virginia, which is also a crucial state. The only way for them to get to 270 votes is ultimately they have to win Florida and Ohio and Pennsylvania and probably somewhere else, an Iowa or a New Hampshire or Wisconsin, but somewhere else as well. It's still possible. It's an inside straight, but inside straights sometimes hit.
All right, as a loyal Democrat, what keeps you up at night about this race?
I think when you think hard about this race, I think there are sort of three constructions going on. The one the Republicans have is a simple one and an effective one: change versus status quo. He's change, she's status quo.
That's a powerful argument,
It's
isn't
absolutely a powerful argument. The one you heard from us in Philadelphia is also a powerful argument, which is America is diverse. We are complicated. We want to work together. That's our strength versus this one-man, strong-man, narrow cast kind of effect of Trump. And I think that's a powerful argument. I think the voters, what keeps me up at night is where the voters are. They don't like either one of them. And ultimately, they're going to say, who's got something that's going to help me in my future and my family economically? Who's going to keep the country safe and secure domestically and abroad, internationally? And then third, maybe even the most important thing, does one of these people have their act together and can actually do this job and make me feel confident in this mess that they're going to handle things? I think that's perhaps where the things started to turn this week toward Hillary Clinton and against Donald Trump. But, you know, we've still got 3 months to go.
Final question, just a couple seconds. As someone who's witnessed a lot of these campaigns and been involved in more than a few, is this election year unlike any other?
I always say it. I think I mean it this time. How can you not? When you just look, just the saga of Trump alone makes this an extraordinary year, and the fact that it's the first woman being nominated, and the fact that the world is kind of going crazy on us right now. So for all those reasons, Mike, yes.
Paul Maslin is a Democratic pollster, strategist based in Madison. It's good to have you back on the program.
Thank you. Good to be here.
Coming up next on Up Front, Trump sends his pick for vice president to campaign in Wisconsin. Just how enthusiastic are state Republicans about the ticket? That's when Up Front continues.
Up Front with Mike Goucher, brought to you by the American Transmission Company and the Wisconsin Corn Growers Association.